it was like, well, if in the future people want to listen to, like, you know, when we before we press play and before, or rather before we record, and then in the piss breaks, and I record those ones. So I'm like, if in the future anyone wants to listen to those ones, they can do. Maybe I'll put them out. And then also another thing is now it's actually more for my own entertainment.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Because you'll fucking say, I'll be done. Are you recording?
Yeah, I'm in, mate.
Because you'll do this. You'll go you'll be like, dude. In fact, like, so this is a prime example. We were both like, right, okay, cool. 9 a.m. Yeah, ready for 9. Yeah, ready for 9. And you went from, dude, I'm gonna go on a run. Actually, no, it changed because it went from 11, didn't it? So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But I had in my head, Paul's going for a run before the pod, and then I look at my phone and I see, dude, just grabbing a Mackey's and then I'll be with you. And I was like, I like the fucking, the opposite.
What a change from the prospect of a healthy morning to turning up late and getting McDonald's breakfast.
Yeah, and then telling me about your bright ring.
More importantly, I've not just used my own time for the Mackey's breakfast. I've used some of yours. I've let you wait for me to have a breakfast, an unhealthy breakfast. Mate, you know, when I was setting up then, the reason I shouted, right? Look at the size of the hole on that. Then that little hole you get on a fucking coffee from like Mackey's and that. I folded that over that little bit, that little lip on it when I opened it up, and it torn a tiniest little bit. And that changed the whole dynamic of it. When I had a swig of it, the most amount of coffee that could fit out of that hole leapt out and just went all over my face. Went in my eye and shit. I thought, how's that much coffee come out of there? Look at it. Look at the hole. It was like a proper...
cascade of coffee cascade.
Yeah.
What I've started doing now, dude, is when you say a time, I'm just ready for about 10 to 20 minutes after.
Sometimes what I do is when I decide what date you're going to do the pod with me, I just get ready for 2 days after, and that usually works out.
Yeah. I usually book an event. I've got I'm like, yeah, no worries. And you're like, dude, definitely good for 9, definitely good for like 9 p.m. And I'm like, yeah, cool, 100%. And then you like message me, dude, just gonna be 20 minutes or so. And I'm like, and I message back, and I'm like at an Ariana Grande concert or something. I'm like, yeah, no worries, dude. Just fucking.
The way you said it then, Ariana Grande, sounds like...
Yeah, I realised.
It sounds like some kind of posh dessert.
Sounds like what?
Imagine every time I told me to tell you what it sounded like, you coughed over me. What does it sound like? How's your signal?
No, please, go on.
Please do tell me what it sounds like. What?
Pardon?
You just keep like, tell me what it sounds like.
Yeah, and then when you don't, I go, Paul, please, I'm intrigued. Please, don't keep me waiting. Don't do the Davina on me. You're not Davina. Come on, let's go. Every time. I still feel like
it's just nothing stinky behaviour. We're not having it. We're not settling for this shit.
That's what you get, dude. Every time you're 5 minutes late, you get one cough for every cough. And today you're 20 minutes late.
Yeah, so if we ever let you down by like 40 minutes, you're just going to interrupt with a cough every time I go to speak. Or every time I think I'm saying something good, like I'm onto something good, you just interrupt it. You think I'm not letting him have this. He doesn't deserve this moment. So
hang on it. All you see is me like this. Hang on a minute. He's on a roll, and then next thing you know, I'm sniffing pepper just to sneeze. Shoot!
Dude, I've got an answer for why the getting up in the morning and going for the run turned into getting up, having McDonald's breakfast, and being 20 minutes late. I'm looking down because I can still smell Sandy's shit.
Sandy 21 listening is Is Paul's
My
girlfriend.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
She's in a cage, but she's like butter wouldn't melt. She's laid a little egg somewhere. No, so my excuse for that.
You should let your girlfriend out and run, dude. You shouldn't always have her in the cage. But yeah, go on, continue.
So yeah, the excuse for that is my full intention was to get an early night last night, wake up this morning, and watch the McGregor fight, and then go on a quick run, come here for 11 and speak to you. But because the timing for this changed to 9. But what also happened is
I'm only pulling your penis, Paul.
No, I'm saying it like because it's a good thing, really, because what I did do is I woke up in the middle of the night and my stepbrother was putting it on, the fight on. So
oh really?
Yeah, because I stayed at my sister's last night and I was on the sofa and I woke up to him loading the fight up because I was going to watch it in the morning, but he set an alarm, I think, because he'd woke up for the fight. So
that's what I did.
Yeah, so that was me up in the middle of the night, and then knackered this morning. So no runny bunny. No run, just fun.
Are you going to go after this though? No.
Yeah, but I'm swapping the run for a long, adventurous walk with the dog. I'm going to take her out. But this time I'm going to put shit. I always go out in nice trainers, me, and I'll end up always getting filthy. So this time I'm going to put like my shit running trainers on, and so we can go in like the woods and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yeah, you gotta get yourself some some booties, some rootin' tootin' booties is what you gotta do, mate.
Booties.
Get yourself some booties.
Do you know when I was going up to when I was going for army selection, the guy that was sending me up to Scotland, lo and behold, he was Scottish, the guy, and he was like, he was talking about like when I get up there to the selection centre, he was explaining they'll pick you up on a bus, they'll take you there, and he went, when you get up to the selection centre in Scotland, make sure you have about £4 loose change. And then he went, you know what that's for, don't you? That's for all your crisps, chocolate and sticky bars. He said sticky bars, and that's the only time in my life I've ever heard
I've never heard it.
Sticky bar.
Dude, I've never heard it called a sticky bar either. So it's so we've got our, what's it, body wash?
Yeah, a sticky bar sounds like a place you'd go to, and it'd just be like some seedy brothel, and just everyone's naked and ejaculating all over the surfaces and everything.
Oh right, yeah, okay.
As a result, it's sticky.
Yeah, and you're in a bar, so it's like I get the whole brothel concept. My mind went straight to a theme park, Sticky Bar. This character called Sticky Bar and this big Teddy outfit or what have you, and then you could go on the slide.
You took the softer approach.
Yeah. I went light-heartedly. Is it, dude? I'm curious. Is it? Well, I'm not that curious. Well, no, I am. Is it snowing there?
Yeah. Like if you venture where it's a bit more hilly, like if you go up the road and you go up the hills, it's a lot more lot more.
Basically, is it white out there? Because I'm looking out, it's white, dude.
Yeah, it's sludgy, and more on the roads. It is sludgy, but no. As soon as you go into the up into the hill, it's fucking proper snow. It's been coming down hard every day, but it's not. You know what it's like. It sticks better, doesn't it? Where it's higher up and stuff. So,
has Sandy been out in it? Has your dog been out in it? Has she seen the snow?
Not really, no. Because when I've been taking her on walks, it's always been like there's a park right next to my mum's, and when I take her around there, she's seen ice and stuff, but she's not run around in actual snow. So I'm excited about it. So here's my plan today. Take Sandy on a walk, come home, get changed, couple of beers, and then I'm off down to the Sticky Bar with the boys.
Nice.
Me and the boys are off to the sticky bar for a bit of fun, for a good
Yeah,
time.
a bit of fun. What are you gonna drink? You gonna drink some belly wash?
Yeah. Where the fuck's my phone?
No swearing on the podcast, please.
Oh yeah.
We've got rules now. No, I'm kidding, dude. I swear. I swear. Can I talk about the Conor McGregor fight?
That's what we're going into, yeah. I just had this thought that I want to put my phone on airplane mode because I'm extremely popular. I get at least 12.
That thing in the background, that dome, looks like a tit. That plastic tit, is that for your eggs?
No, it's a drinks dispenser stole from the sticky bar.
Oh, nice, dude.
Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you got to go careful there. You don't get
What
caught.
happens at the sticky bar? It's quite an aloof venue, and what happens when you go there? It's on a need to know basis, and it's members only, and you get to leave with a souvenir each time, and that was what I took home last time. That red dome.
When you book in as well, the way you book in is you have to throw. You go there's everywhere's covered in like Velcrow, and then you got the opposite to the Velcrow, whatever that is, like the sticky.
Yes, what actually happens? You walk in like in the location of it changes all the time, and what happens if you walking like through town and you've got to do like a mating call, and someone will do it back, and then you that reveals the location, and then
but you're going off the fact that if you haven't got the exclusive if you haven't got the platinum, where they give you that belt that you wear across here, and there's a hook on the background on the back, and then what they'll do, well, there's a hook and there's also like a load of like sticky Velcro, and you can just do the mating call, and out of nowhere there'll be a hook thing that hooks you up and sticks the Velcro, and it'll just carry you to the bar.
Dude,
it's a crane, gigantic crane.
This is the thing, right? Imagine a form of taxi where the entire outside of the taxi or a bus is just concealed in Velcro, and you've got the other thing on your clothes, and whenever you want to lift, you just run and jump at the bus, land at it, and then when you want to get off, you just peel yourself off and get to your location. Do you think that?
I like it. How do you stop people that shouldn't be on the bus because they haven't paid?
They don't get issued the Velcro suits.
But they could probably buy them. I'd start making them.
Yeah, you'd go to serious lengths just to avoid the small £1.20 bus fare. Yeah. £1.20 Velcro fare.
Yeah, it costs you 10,000 man hours. Cost you 10,000 man hours. You couldn't go to your wedding because you had like orders on. Dude, you spoke about the sticky bar. You go in there and you take a souvenir every time.
Yeah.
So me and my older brother, shout out to Sean, we went to this. Pardon?
Sean Connery.
We went to this pub and we just got hammered. I think we were drinking all day, and then we like had the idea of like, okay, what you got to do is the person that gets the coolest item from every bar that we go to wins. And dude, I was like a fucking child, mate. Like, so I was like, seen this Blues Brother statue, and I was like, oh, I'm having that. That's a fucking good one, that. And then like we're like, yeah, cool, we're going. And I like grabbed the Blues Brother thing and was like, like giggling, really drunk. I ran out the front door, and as I ran out the front door, I ran into the bouncer's hands, like he just like hugged into me. And then I was like, oh yeah, here you go. Give him the statue back. But I ran like immediately out the front door, literally into his hands. Like he embraced me in a hug, and like I was a bit like, oh yeah, here you go. Gave it back.
Like that, I was just bringing it to you.
Oh, there you are.
But you're clearly stealing it. You're like running, looking back, but just run into the fucking dude, and then you go, there you are. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, fun. There you go. Here you go. This is
you all over the pub.
Yeah, kick off with him.
I just had a feeling you needed this bringing over to you. Like, it's just totally random. Why would the bouncer want that Blues Brothers thing?
Hey, what do you think to the Conor McGregor fight?
Yes, we'll break.
McGregor versus Poirier 2.
I'll be honest. I thought McGregor was going to win. There's a strong thing about judging a fight, and like, does the best man on the day win? And they not always. You know what I mean? Like, for me, Poirier, he just, I don't know. I thought he was unlikely to win, but that's because I didn't have enough knowledge on him. I hadn't studied him enough. And you've got to take into account the fact it might not be Conor McGregor's best day. Once you throw a shitload of money and fame at somebody, do you know what I mean? The lifestyle he's got, the temptation to do other things than training. He can buy whatever car he wants, go wherever he wants. So he's losing his drive a bit, surely.
I
You know what I
was
mean?
gonna say, so do you feel like with the money he's lost the kind of the warrior spirit?
Yeah, he's lost a bit. He's lost a bit of focus. Surely, like it had happened to anybody, wouldn't it? When you go into a sport like fighting, you can't just do it solely on the fact that you enjoy fighting. Like a lot of it's down to like pride and like wanting to be the best. So like you want to prove yourself, and there's loads of dynamics to it where you feel like you want like the glory, don't you, of being like seen as like a gladiator. Like it's like the modern day version of a Roman gladiator or something, isn't it? Someone that goes in a cage. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, no, absolutely is.
most brutal combat sport. So it's the seat like you're seen as a hero, aren't you? When you and I could see it in Conor McGregor's face how gutted he was, but he carried himself proper well, didn't he? Like he didn't want making excuses, or he was just straight up said he's gutted. He put everything into training. He tried as, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So no, I thought I respected that, but again, I think it still could have gone either way. It was so because he got the win. It was quite sudden when he was wearing him down with that leg kick, and I think that was hurting Conor more than he was letting on money. I think he was struggling.
Sure.
Go into your thoughts about it, and then we'll just discuss some more. Like, because I think there's a lot to talk about in terms of applying the dynamics of someone in that world to seeing like go away and come back and having like the money and stuff, and like how it affects your drive, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I am.
So yeah, so just go from the start of your thoughts on it, and then we'll elaborate on what each other are saying.
I don't. So first of all, when thought Conor was going to win as well. However, I thought that up until the actual walkout, and when I seen the walkout, and I don't want to be like, oh, I'm a fucking analysis or a body thingy expert or anything like that, but one thing, like, because I see what he looks like in every fight, and then I compare that to the baseline almost of like, and I felt like he looked off, like he didn't look. And what I mean by that is like he didn't look like when you can be, and it's the same with the podcast. You
Talking
can be
about McGregor here, aren't you?
McGregor, yeah. So he looked off because he didn't look like 100% fully in the moment. You know, like in the podcast, you can have it with a conversation, you can have it with meeting someone for the first time, where if you can relax and you can be in the moment, everything seems to flow like really nicely.
Yeah.
And straight away, he went to the kind of the cut man to get his like stuff, his, but he went to do that, but then he was like, oh no, and then he turned around and then like kind of hugged his teammates, so he looked a bit off there. He didn't look like, so that looked a bit like haphazard kind of thing. And
Yeah.
then when he got into the ring, when he got in, he kind of like did his thing, said like put his hands up and stuff. And then what I noticed is when he was in the ring, like Poirier coming in looked way more composed. He looked more relaxed, more like anchored down into the present moment. When as he walked in, he was at the door. He kind of did his like thing, and he just looked more relaxed, more chilled. I feel Conor looked more stiff. And then he missed the timing where he does, you know, Conor McGregor does this thing where as he's having his name called, he walks to the center of the octagon, kisses his hands, puts them out. He almost missed that. He kind of like, he was off of that. And I thought, and I watched it, and then immediately I was like, oh fuck.
So what you're saying is,
like, I had this feeling.
Like it looked like he was distracted or otherwise. Do you think he might have been worried on the pressure that, because it's a lot, because with his level of fame and stuff, you've got a lot to live up to, and Poirier come out and his body looked better, didn't it? Like his structure looked better. He looked like he had more mass than Conor. Even though he was slightly lighter in the weigh-in, which I thought was strange. When they were side by side, he had a more stable frame, didn't he? Like he looked more. Do you know what I mean? That makes sense. I'm not sure what the correct word I'm looking for is, but
yeah, more imposing. His structure, his somatotype, his like body looked more imposing. Yeah.
So that's one thing I noted when I seen him face by face. I nearly said. Imagine if that was the term. Just come and get face by face. When they were face to face, I did sort of think that. Look, I think. Look at us when we first started doing this. We're getting better at this because when you first do it, there's loads of pressure, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? And that's just us doing a little video that we're going to put on YouTube that hardly anyone's going to see. So imagine the pressure McGregor's under. If Poirier's under probably a lot, he's under probably half the pressure, because if Poirier loses, he's lived up to expectations and he'll still get a pat on the back. But if he wins, he gets glory. Whereas McGregor had to win, really. Do you know what I mean? So like the pressure on the pressure, it's similar to if Anthony Joshua fights Tyson Fury, he'll, because of his fame and stuff, even though Tyson Fury's, in my opinion, clearly the better boxer, and would beat him every day. Do you know what I mean? Beat him on any day. But I think it's very similar to that if that fight was to go ahead. But I take back what I said in that when we had a discussion about it. I was saying that Poirier in his previous fight, because I said when this fight was coming up, I rewatched some of Poirier's previous fights, and he was just a pounder, wasn't he? He fucking went out and he was a proper brawler, wasn't he? But his hits didn't seem as devastating as what McGregor's always have been. Because McGregor's left hand has always been, he's been proper dangerous, hasn't it? But last night he was fucking landing some shots that were fucking brutal, and that I sat there, because I'm one of them, me, like I'll never, if I slate someone and think, oh no, he won't beat McGregor, and like you'll soon go back on what you say and say, actually, I was wrong. You know, you can't. It's like I wouldn't turn around after it and say, oh, fucking, he got lucky. McGregor should have won that. And you know what I mean? Like he didn't. So like you've got to give credit to the other guy. And I think
Poirier. Yeah, but he did an incredible job, Poirier. He did exactly what he needed to do. It was like because this is another thought that I had before the fight, just before. I was like, Conor McGregor said, and I think this was the wrong thing to say, like, he said, like, oh, what's he going to do this time round? And I was like, I don't think that's the way to approach it. Like, I think he has, like,
what's plans. He going to do, meaning himself or Poirier?
Poirier, like, what's Poirier going to do? Like, what's he going to do to win? Like, whereas he said that...
He broke his... What's that?
Yeah, he nullified his foot, one of his... Essentially one of his, like, one of the base, the foundation for the punching. Like, if you want to have power in your punch, you need to have your feet obviously firm on the ground.
Well, fucking your stability comes from the ground up anyway. So if you take out someone's foot, they're not stable. In McGregor would have took, I think he'd have took them punches and stayed on his feet if he hadn't taken all that brutal, finger to his calf, because I think he was just rocking, wasn't he? And he was on the back foot, and he's very rarely like that. He's normally attacking, isn't he? I think Poirier looked amazing, to be honest. I couldn't fault anything he did. And what I think as well, what always strikes me is, like, whenever I watch a fight from a perspective as someone that I've done boxing in the past, but never done anything with kicks and stuff. But when you see someone kick, I always wonder, when you see someone kick, who does it hurt more, the person kicking or the person receiving the kick? Because sometimes someone will kick and they'll put their elbow up and the foot will like hit the elbow, or the foot will hit their knee, or do you know what I mean? And you think, fucking hell, you're hurting them. But imagine how much that'd hurt your foot, blasting someone in the fucking hitting an elbow. It's like booting a rock or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I always think that, like, how well, interestingly enough, I've been tattooing a lad that's he's a cage fighter, and he's quite young, but he's quite up and coming, and he's quite good, dude. And he's come from a background of like Muay Thai, I think, but then gone into cage fighting, and so his kicks are like unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? And he was saying that because your adrenaline's going so nuts in the cage, he said when you kick, you don't really feel it, but as soon as the fight's over, he said, well, once you like calm down, he said everything starts swelling up and you can't walk. He said you can't walk the next day when you kick. As soon as you connect with your foot, or that, you know, like the bridge of your shin, as soon as that connects, like, you know it yourself. If you hurt yourself when your adrenaline's pumping, if you're in a fight or any kind of situation where, even if you're involved in an accident, if you fall, do you know what I mean? If you're doing something in the moment, you don't quite feel the pain, do you, till afterwards?
Yeah, like people say that about shark attacks, don't they? When they get their like limbs bit off, they say like they didn't feel anything.
Still trying to swim, but they've got no legs. Trying to do that with the legs. Why not going forward?
Trying to do it with their arms. Trying to do it with their arms, but they're just like shoulders, and they're like,
yeah.
With the kicking, it's like if you're gonna head kick someone, then you can use your foot. But you only use your foot to kick someone in the cheeks. But if you're gonna kick their leg, you're obviously attacking the muscle, and so you use your shin. And then if you're gonna calf kick them, you'd use your shin. So it's your shin bone, which is like a baseball bat, on the like just below the knee, where I think the nerve is called the preliminary nerve, something like that. And it just shuts off the foot, so you can't put any weight on the foot. You just completely fucks your feet.
Yeah.
And Poirier did exactly what he needed to do, because when I thought about, you know, what Poirier needed to do to win, like when he said what's he gonna do, I thought, well, actually, like, you know, Conor to win, it looks like he needs to kind of knock him out. I said, but with Poirier, I was like, Poirier could win by either lasting the first round and absorbing a few shots and taking it, and then obviously Conor will lose then confidence, or wrestle him, as in take him down, and then he's got another thing to think about, and like Khabib did, wrestled him the whole time until exhausted, or because he's heavy on the legs, just attack his legs like Conor did to Nate Diaz, because Nate Diaz, they were both boxing, but Conor was attacking his legs, and he just did that. He just attacked his legs and just completely destroyed his front legs. He just couldn't put any weight down.
Yeah, there's a perception in when you're watching a combat sport, and like, because if you're quite, say you'd like a Joe Rogan or someone that's fucking heavily involved in that world and understands all the dynamics, that he talks a lot about jiu-jitsu, saying he says it's like a language, doesn't he? Saying like it's that complicated. But when Joe Rogan's watching someone's, like if he's watching Khabib wrestling, or do you know what I mean, watching his groundwork, he'll fully understand everything that's taking place. But when you're watching it on a casual level, like you'll see like Conor McGregor's left hand come through and fucking connect with his chin and see it rocking, and you'll go, ooh, do you know what I mean? But then you're not noticing, a lot of the time, you're not noticing the kicks that are actually hurting them a lot more, like the kicks to the leg where they just kick them, but you're not realizing that's having a knock-on effect to the actual fight result. But until you sort of have knowledge of that, because I do it myself. I don't watch all UFC fights. I watch specific ones that are hyped up. So I'm like a casual fan of it. Do you know what I mean? And
you
like,
wanna, if you wanna see, yeah, go on. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, so just saying, a lot of the times it's on the perspective of the observer, isn't it? Because every observer is going to get different. Every observer is going to get a different feel for the fight, and the more knowledge and distinctions you have, the more you could sort of say, like, it looked like he was dominating, but in fact the other fighter was concentrating on this. He had a plan. Do you know what I mean? There's all like there's loads of elements to it that I personally just don't understand. Like a lot of it, I don't always see what's going on. And do you know what I mean? Particularly with the ground game, like the anything to do with all the holds and that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the more, almost you're gonna enjoy it more the more knowledgeable you are. Like if somebody put on snooker and you've never played snooker, then you're kind of gonna look at it and not give a fuck or not appreciate how good those people are. And then, or let's say you so you've got somebody that knows about snooker and somebody that doesn't. The person that doesn't will be like, oh, he's good, he's getting the balls in the hole. And then the other person who's more pro would be like, oh, he's good. Not only is he getting the balls in the hole, he's getting the white ball where he needs it to set up his third and fourth and fifth shot, etc. And you see more into it. And yeah, I guess it's the same with fighting as well. Like I enjoy it when they go to the ground. I enjoy it, and I only started enjoying it after I learned jiu-jitsu, or after I should say began to learn.
I only started enjoying it once I received my brown belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Once I completed it.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Yes, so a similar thing is I tattoo mostly on a daily basis when things are normal. And when I see other tattoos, to you, if you look at a tattoo, you can just look at a tattoo and think, oh, that looks cool. I like that. I can appreciate that's good artwork. But I can look at it and I can understand the processes and I can say, fuck me, that is creative, or that's really talented, because I can break down the processes in my head and how they built the shading up. And do you know what I mean? So that's my field. So for me, I'd have a lot more knowledge about that thing. So yeah, it's like you said, having an understanding of something improves your ability to connect with it, doesn't it? Is a good
I've thought about this quite a few times. Imagine having a device in the future where you can just jump into the other person's consciousnness and like you can perceive. And I tell you, the first time I ever thought this thought was one of my clients is and he studies NLP, which is like the mind. It's all to do with the mind and how the mind thinks and works. And I was like, oh, imagine jumping, like all the years that he's done of like studying the mind. Imagine jumping into his like consciousness and his perception of the world, and then, like the understanding he has of how the mind works. Like I was like, that'd be sick to see the world through his eyes. And then after,
what would be an interesting thought if I could jump all my memories and knowledge into your brain. So in terms of however they're stored in the neurons in the brain, however memories are stored in the form of whatever's in the cell in the form of some sort of electrical impulses or whatever, however it works, if I could transfer that to you, would your mind utilize it the same? Like, would your mind understand that knowledge? Because it
hasn't experienced it
together, so you don't know if it'd go in your mind and just be a load of gobbledygook. You know what I mean? Like, your mind works differently, so we don't actually know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like
it's like if you tried playing a PlayStation 4 game on an Xbox, would it work? Do you know what I mean? Like, even though the game itself should be transferable, would it work in a different console? And probably not. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I guess like with my cats, I'll look at them and I'll be like, I'll try and communicate with them through cat language. You know, like if you slow blink, it means they're showing you love and appreciation. They're
Yeah.
communicating that they love you. So like I'll often like I'll catch one of their eye and then be like slow blink them and try and let them know. And I'll try and communicate.
Almost not dissimilar to that guy when we went to Ministry of Sound and he was clearly killed out of his head.
Yeah, there was a dude, and this was weird, man. So Paul and I went to Ministry of Sound in London years and years and years and years ago, and we both just happened to look at this same dude at the same time who was absolutely wired on fucking what, like probably coke and pills, and it was strange because it was slow motion because he's like really wide-eyed and he looked at someone and he's true, and then he just he winks, but as he winks, it's like the slowest wink that you'll ever fucking witness.
That was the first time in reality where I'd seen something move in slow motion and like felt like I was sped up or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know, like you just your mind works that fast. You're able to it looks in slow motion to you. That's what it was like.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to what you were saying about. So you were saying about like, imagine if you could jump your consciousness into somebody else. So what happens is, so what's happening at the moment is we've got our phones with us every day, haven't we? Like the phone is an extension of you. So let me think of the word. You're symbiotic.
Flappy.
You're symbiotic with your phone, meaning that you work with your phone to get information, to contact people. And what basically when you want to send a message or type something, you're using your fingers to send the message. But we're gonna, like Elon Musk was saying, like we're moving to an era where, is it in the form of a chip in your head? Is it in the form of something you wear? But removing moving forward to the next natural progression to that would be thinking, instead of using your hands to control your phone, controlling it with your thoughts. And then what he's saying is entirely possible is you just being able to access the internet completely with your mind. And that concept isn't that far from like, it isn't a far-fetched concept, because at the moment, if I want to find something out, I get my phone, I load the internet up and then type it in. But the internet years ago started on a massive computer. Do you know what I mean? You'd have to dial it up and yeah. Where we're heading. He was saying I think he's called like neural link, innit? But you'd be linked up, so you could imagine if this worked, this thing, and like years from now, our phone is just a little device that we stick on the side of our head or something, and then when I want to ring you, I just think about ringing you, and then it connects with you. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the sort of things that potentially will happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, how much longer will it be where we've got to use our thumbs to type on a phone? It's counterproductive, isn't it? Like this, and we're already seeing it with Siri and Alexa. They're using a form of AI to not an advanced form, but they're using a form of AI to communicate with you, aren't they? When you speak to it, it can load up songs, it can do different things. So that's that's the very bottom end of like a new age of technology, where we're going to be communicating with things and using things. Like, why would we need a steering wheel in a car? Do you know what I mean? Like, what if What if instead of a steering wheel, it was just you get in your car and something's attached to your head and it just, your thoughts just, you know what I mean? Like, would that be more effective than having to hold it? Or I don't know.
I think if we survive the termination attempt of AI, I think what will happen is it will go from the technology, it will transcend then from and ascend from technology to I guess psychic ability. I guess it'll be like it's all in the brain. I think it's all in the mind. I think we had the power in the mind. You know, you can take psychedelics and see insane things. It can pull you, and this what I like is it pulls you. You got your everyday thinking, and it pulls you the fuck away from it. So then you're like, oh, why do I? So usually you think in a pattern, but what it can do is it can pull you away, and then you think, oh, okay, the way I think is when I process things as if I've got the answer, and then like it'll show you things about yourself, and so I think we'll get to a stage where, you know, where it will be so advanced it'll be psychic. So it'll be like we'll better read one another for. Oh, dude, you know Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
The psychologist.
Yeah.
Psychiatrist. He I haven't really like experiment with this, but he said.
Wouldn't it be top? Sorry, dude. Wouldn't it be top if you didn't know him? Dude, you know Jordan Peterson? Yeah. All right. And that was
nice.
it.
Yeah, and then I start asking questions about
Who is it?
Is he nice? Does he drink? Yeah, does he drink cups of tea? Do you know if he likes cups of tea?
What field's he in?
Yeah. So Jordan Peterson, I seen this video where he said if you feel anxious, one thing you can do, you know, like anxious of judgment and whatnot, one thing you can do is he says if you look at someone and like, you know, look at them quite intensely. Well, he didn't say that. He just says if you look at someone, he says you can see what they're thinking. And
I get that quite a lot of the time.
I'm discovering new things about life, like the you know, like the yogi books that I read, the books on yogis, they'll talk about like all these insane things that you can do where you can manipulate molecular structure and make an orange form in front of you and things like this, and like some insane Wim Hof, the Iceman, and he can submerge himself in ice for 24 hours and not change his body temperature, like keep it the same. He can do like insane things.
I want to learn more about this guy. I was having a conversation with Smithy about this Iceman.
Can I finish my point now?
Sorry, dude.
No, it's only because I don't want to finish there because it's like stuff that I've already said, but this is like new to me. I was like, imagine now, because I'm like, oh fuck, I think I've lost it. So I think we're gonna dive into like almost the psychic ways, and or magic, almost like whatever you want to call it, psychic, magic, whatever it may be, but like just the abilities that you have, the abilities to senses. You can you know, you can increase your senses, and I feel like, you know, some people have that ability to look at people and know what they're thinking. It's like, so if you can do that, then surely we're just going to evolve and advance more and more to the point where, you know, you're going to better look at someone and know what they're thinking, and really it's just you're going to connect with them better, you know, like, and especially if you hang around with someone so much, you end up in sync. How often do you and I say the same shit?
Yeah, well, let's look at what I could. Right, so we're not together physically now. If I've got my phone with me, I can ring you. I can communicate with you no matter wherever you are, right? So, and I can access the internet and answer any question that I feel. Do you know what I mean? I can research into anything I want to research. So I've got the full wealth of the human knowledge at my fingertips. So as soon as this is no longer a phone, look at me actually grabbing it. As soon as these abilities,
this is actually not a phone.
Yeah,
it's actually not. It's actually not a phone. You're like, as soon as this is not a phone,
like a banana or something.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah. So as soon as that device, because Elon Musk said and he strongly believes this, that we'll be able to access the internet instantly with just by thinking about it. So if I want a research into cooking, or anything I want to know about, I'll just start the thought process. And you've got to remember, the technology will advance, so it's no longer a phone. It might be something you just wear in your ear, or because it's not practical for us to always have to hold this device. And do you know what I mean? If I want to ring, so yeah, it'll be just like we are psychic. I want to ring you, I just think about ringing you, and then it connects with you, and then, like, do you know what I mean? Hey, dude. Hey, dude.
Hey, dude. Hey, dude.
But it's just that. It's just that. It's like we're not even saying it, but I'm just sat there like that. Hey, dude.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, that's what you have to say, and the next you know, I'm in your head.
Yeah, but we're still using signal, and you're like, 1 sec, I've got bad signal, and you've got to like put your head out the window to get a good reception.
Putting your, like the thing where they say, oh, put your phone on your head and you get better signal. You're like, your mum's trying to chill, and you're just like, oh, wait a minute, dude. You're just putting your ear on top of your mum's head to get better signal. She's like, yeah, what are you doing? Fuck out of here. You're all of a sudden your mum's a black lady. Get the fuck out of here. Dude, that video I sent you where that lady was like on the cooking channel, where she's like, the lady picks up the cupcake and says to the audience, goes, oh, it's got paper on it, meaning like it's fine. Smells the cupcake, and the other lady goes, oh no, you can't eat that. And the lady's like, no, but you can touch it. And then like as the other lady's talking, you just see the other lady like rolling her eyes and shit, being like, and then like nudging like, this fucking bitch.
The dog's just tipped up.
That beauty.
She's cool, man.
That's the thumbnail. This is the thing, right? We need to figure out how we can actually choose the thumbnail.
Yeah, I've not sussed that out yet.
It gives you free, doesn't it? It gives you free options, and they're always pretty shit. Like, I did a podcast, and I'm certain the other day, and I was mindful of how I was sitting. I was like, right, and it was about a 2-hour podcast, and I'm sitting up, right, I'm trying to bring my shoulders back, chest up, and I'm like, yeah, all right, I got good posture. And then the free thumbnails options that it gave me, all of them, I was like this.
You're really mindful of how you're sitting, so you was just straddling across the fucking desk, and your crotch is just in the screen, because you was really mindful that you wanted to be very inviting to the customers. What do you call them? Listeners. You want your listeners to know that they've got an open invitation. So you just got like.
I look like a photo. I photoshopped myself, because like, where the corners are, like I'm sat along, so I'm like along the bottom, and then I'm propped up along the side. So it looks like, like I'm in a hammock, but it's like what's holding me is just the corner of the camera, the corner of the cameras.
Like your head's perfectly like that, leaning on the side of the thing. Yeah,
it's facing this way, and my head's propped up against it like this. But I'm all of a sudden, I'm far back, so I'm kind of like lounging on it. I've got my feet stretched out.
Yeah, and you're otherwise floating, other than the fact that the screen itself's holding you in place.
And I'm also wearing a polka dot. I'm wearing a yellow and white polka dot dress.
I thought you was going to say also I'm wearing Pocahontas. Like when you got as far as saying poker, I thought the only logical thing he's saying here is Pocahontas.
Is that a man or a woman?
It's a woman. It's a cartoon woman.
Is it? So I'm wearing
like a loincloth.
Is she hot?
She's a cartoon dude.
Yeah, but is she hot? Come on, Paul. Is she hot? Is Pocahontas hot?
Not as fit as Lois.
What, from Family Guy?
Yeah, I'm joking.
Yeah, but first, who is your?
Going back to what we were saying about the totally jumping back to like the previous conversation, but where do you think this leaves Conor McGregor's career now? Is it will he do a third match like he did? Because did he do a third one with, was it Nate Diaz where they?
Not yet.
They've done the 1-for-1, aren't they?
Yeah.
So do you think it'll just lie for a few years and then maybe like a rematch?
Yeah, I think maybe he'll want the rematch immediately, because the first thing he said is we'll run it back to Dustin. We'll go again.
Yeah, I remember.
And it's funny because Dustin retired. Dustin shouted as soon as he won. He shouted to the didn't he? He shouted to the as if the commentary. He shouted to them, the commentators. He said, I don't like this anymore. I don't like fighting. You know, I'm done. And then like Conor McGregor was like, then got interviewed and said like, oh, we'll run it back. And then Poirier was like, yeah, we'll go again at some point.
Yeah,
maybe we'll go again.
It's just the draft. These people, as much as the fighters and stuff like that, they're entertainers, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? So it's got to be exciting. You've got to want to revisit it, and you hopefully pay the pay to watch, because that's how they're making the money. So imagine if they were just proper boring after the fight, like, yeah, it was a good fight.
It was all right.
I wouldn't mind doing it. Like, what was the fight like?
Yeah. Just really detached and not motivated at all.
Just that. That's all. They don't even speak. They just
moody.
Yeah.
Just moody. They're on their phone.
Yeah. All right, get down now. You're distracting me, doggy.
Who do you think out of all the cartoon characters? Who's the hottest cartoon character? Male or female? I'd have like a foursome with like Wilma from the Flintstones, Marge, Lewis.
Yeah. Lewis. You just had to have a male in there.
Yeah, Lois. Snow White.
You'd have Snow White and a couple of the dwarfs and just make them watch. let them watch. Let the boy watch. You take the view that they need to learn.
Yeah, my hips thrusting down on
Donna.
Grumpy. What are their names? Grumpy, happy, sad. Just emotions. Their names are just emotions.
Like the drive of a fighter and like the hunger and the ability they have to train for the fight and get because the work they put in, it's commendable, isn't it? Like they push themselves on a level like no other athletes do. Do you know what I mean? Like the fighting fitness is like at the highest level, isn't it? Along like any Olympic athlete, like they train as hard, if not harder. Like the level, it's the height of pushing yourself to the limits. And how long's that level of effort sustainable? And this is what I think in terms of, because what happened, dude, you know yourself, when we was in the army, we was at a high level of fitness because the army on the whole are fitter as a bunch than civilians are, and we was in the small percentage of the fittest in our regiment, weren't we? So we was at a good level of fitness. And what I found when I left the army, I lost the drive to go on them grueling long runs, and do you know what I mean? Like I'm just no way near as fit now. And I don't know, in a way, I'm not saying that's on the same level as fighting or anything like that, but it's a similar dynamic, isn't it? When you've been at that level, and then like with McGregor, he's got a lifestyle that's like anyone could wish for. Do you know what I mean? So when you're given all that, because he's not always been rich, has he? Do you know what I mean? He joined fighting quite later on, didn't he? And do you know what I mean? It's in the last couple of years he's reached a level of having extreme amounts of money and fame, and do you know what I mean? And positioning in the world, like he's important, isn't he, on social media, his influence. So when you've got all that do you know what I mean? He'll be getting tugged in all kinds of directions, and every day he'll be getting people will be communicating with his management team, not just about fights, like all about different deals, different investments where he can make more money, having fun, going on holidays with his family. Do you know what I mean? He can go anywhere he wants. When you've got all them distractions and then you're lining up a fight where you're going to have to go into a horrendous training regime for like at least 8 weeks, 12 weeks, however long their fight camp's for, and then go into this fight where you're under extreme pressure because you're seen as the person that should win, you've got higher status. So there's so many dynamics where you're looking at him, you're looking at the side of him that isn't the fighter, you know, isn't the warrior, that isn't the person in the ring. You're looking at that person that's a normal guy that's being tempted to do all these other things, go to all these other places. So what I'm saying is he's had the glory, the fame, and the money. So how does he keep the motivation to work as hard as he did previously? Do you know what I mean? And I think this is a big thing that happens with all fighters, especially fighters often come out of retirement. It's very rare few fighters that can go into retirement, come out and still be on top. A lot of them come back and they're never the same. Do you know what I mean? They've gone away for a couple.
Especially because he's in a position where he can lose. He can lose. If he loses, it's not like he goes, the UFC are cutting him. He can lose. He can lose his fights, and then he can still book a fight and make millions from it, and still be entertained and be a sought out fighter. I think it's the age. I think to answer the kind of question, obviously I have no idea what it's like because I haven't experienced it. However, it does sound like the same story. You reach those heights of money and wealth, and you've got everything now. What more could you possibly want? And then it gets to the stage of like, oh, there's still that hole, there's still that need, there's still something to be filled. And I think it goes to like, then it becomes about what do you enjoy. Once you've got, imagine now and Alan Watts talks about it. Like if you're a millionaire now and you've got everything that you want, everything you desire, you can have. Okay, so now what do you do? Oh, I'm gonna go on holiday. Okay, then what? And then I'm gonna do this. Then what? And it boils down to like, in the end, you end up asking yourself, okay, well, what the fuck do I actually enjoy in life? What do I enjoy doing? What do I have fun doing? What do I like doing? I'm gonna do more of what I enjoy. And he obviously enjoys competition. So I think that's where his drive comes from, is the fact that he has it all now.
So you agree? Sorry, dude. I'm just cleaning up after the dog. Will be one sec. She's done a shit and the smell's horrendous. Like I've been trying to put up with it, and you was talking and you was making a really good point, and I was like nodding her head with you, but I couldn't see the poo, but I could smell it, and I thought I need to tidy this up.
Have you located it now? We're fucking, dude, this is 100% live. This is what we do now. You clean up poos during podcast, leave me to Phil. That's fine, I'm Phil, because I reckon...
This is what happens when you do a podcast in the same room as your puppy.
As your girlfriend. Why,
Authentic.
Why is she still pooing indoors? I'd have her fucking hung, drawn, and quartered by now if she was still shit.
You know what, dude? She's doing really well. Like she does go out. She probably has a couple of accidents a day, but she's only 3 months old. You know what I mean? Like, it can.
Is that how it works with dogs?
What's that?
Dogs take a long time, do they?
Not always. No, some dogs pick it up really quickly, but
dude, I swear to God, dude, when I got my kitten.
Cats are totally different because cats are quite self-sufficient. Dogs need training. Cats are usually pretty bang on.
Yeah, she was on it, dude. She did one poo. We didn't have the litter tray down. She did one poo behind the radiator. Because we were like, oh, look at her. Oh, she's a bit scared. And it turned out she just needed shit. And then after that, the litter tray went down. She never did a shit outside the litter tray again.
Really?
Yeah, they're fucking... Mind you, I guess the dog doesn't have a litter tray to shit in. Yeah, so the point I was making was and this is what I said to you about the other day. I think I don't remember if I said this on the podcast, but I always get interested when something happens in my life and it's like the coincidences of life. And one thing that happened is I got offered the same bit of advice twice in one day. Perry said to me, he's learned from his from life and experience and travel and diving with blue whales and all the crazy shit that he's done. And the DMTs and stuff, whatnot, and the psychedelics.
It just gets really dark, and the heroin and the being raped by and pillaged by loads of foreigners, and
by insurgents.
It gets dark. Yeah. It starts off. He's learned from his experiences of eating hot dogs and going to theme parks and
candy floss.
Yeah, and then being raped and taking heroin and going
on 2 tours to Afghan and murdering people, and you know the deal. You know how this goes.
How it works. Now go back to what you were saying, dude.
And he was saying he said to me the other day. He said, the one thing that he's learning is do more of what the fuck you enjoy doing. Like that's it. And then my girlfriend said one of the best bits of advice she got when it comes to like mental health and whatnot was, what are your hobbies? Do more of your hobbies. And it's like, so I got the same bit of advice twice in one day, and I wasn't seeking it either. It's just a conversation, and it just came up in conversation. So I was like, okay. Obviously, it's difficult with these times to do that. However, I think that is important, isn't it? And that's what you're dealing with. I think, or what we're seeing with like Conor McGregor is, and everyone else as well. Jim Carrey says that he wishes that everyone could be rich and famous, so then they can realize that it's not all about being rich and famous. And he did the same. He got the riches, he got the fame, and he was like, oh no, there's still something else that needs to be filled. And I think everyone's
how I seen him word what he did say when I was watching Jim Carrey on something. He said, imagine having everything that anyone else has ever dreamed of and still being unhappy. And what he's basically saying is it's that doesn't make you happy. It's what's going on inside your head. And I think what you was just saying then was quite it illustrates a good point to me, because some of the most inspiring moments that happen to you, whether it's a new idea, a new thought process, a new way of being in yourself, that doesn't happen when you sit down and think about it. I could sit all day and think, what do I want out of life? What do I want to do? These moments come to you randomly a lot of the time. So you can be in the shower, you can be in the bath, you can be on a run somewhere, and a new idea can come to you. Or like you were saying, you set out, and the amount of times you could have sat and thought, like, what do I need to do? What will help me? What will benefit me? And nothing comes to you. But that when you're saying you received 2 bits of advice in the same day and you wasn't seeking it, but the fact that you've received it has meant you've took it in and you thought, well, yeah, no, I get that, and I can fuck with that. I fuck with that.
There's dude, and like when also, when you say about that it comes to you randomly, I think what
you make me laugh. Sometimes while I'm talking to you, you go to say something with your finger and then it goes out your head and you just did it then and you went, it's like, oh dude. And then you just went on to something else. But no, go back to what you were saying.
Well, what happens, isn't it, when you're in a conversation with someone? I think the thing that you should be trying to do is listen to what they're saying with 100% confidence in yourself, as well as 100% surrender to the moment and the vulnerability. So it's hard in a podcast, because if you and I are in a conversation, I'm listening to you and you finish the conversation and I perhaps don't have anything from that, and I can then, I don't know, like you can have that stillness in between. You can have that kind of that quiet where I'm kind of thinking about the next thing to say. And there's sometimes where you'll be talking and I have like a new stream of consciousness enter my mind, because I believe when we have conversations with people, we jump in, don't we?
Dude, I'm gonna play this back and find the moment where you just casually stop that. Stop the lemon rocking. I just love how he didn't.
Rock the lemon.
There might be a saying.
Didn't acknowledge it.
Don't let a rocking lemon interrupt your life. Don't let the rocking lemon interrupt your shit, man. Like you was talking and you just carried on talking. You didn't even look at it. You just went.
Don't feed energy to the dancing lemons. Those dancing lemons, you don't want to. Yeah, you don't give them your time or energy. You deal with them and you continue going. What I was saying, what I was saying was, fuck's sakes, bro. It's annoying, isn't it? Because you don't always have it in your mind. It was a new stream of consciousness that I had, and it's gone now.
Did the rocking lemon fuck with you?
Yeah, it did.
I shouldn't have.
I know what. Go on. No, you should, because it's kind of like that's the whole thing, isn't it? That's what
Dude,
that's what I know.
I just couldn't.
No. That's what I noticed with comedians will acknowledge the moment, won't they? And I think like you need to. I feel like if something happens, you have to acknowledge it because, dude, it's like the reporters. You know when you they cut to the reporter and it's all the bloopers for the for the news readers, and you know when they don't like one dude had a fly in his mouth, and rather than be like and get rid of it and be like, oh, I apologize, there was a fly in my mouth. Instead of saying that, he was like, you can see him just trying to deal with it. Yeah. And it's just trying to deal with the fact, like not acknowledge it. So yeah, I think you should acknowledge what happened.
I just found it brilliant how you just kept speaking and just caught the lemon.
Well, yeah, so I know what it was now. You know, you said like the kind of those moments of like new creativity, what now, dude? It's so distracting talking to you sometimes.
No, sorry, the signal went a bit bad then, and you said the word really slow. Loose moments.
Come on, I don't know. I might have just said it slow, but
no, it did skip a bit. I seen it happening.
I fucking give up. Whatever, do whatever, bro. I give up. Fuck this podcast. It's shit. No one's listening.
I'm not doing it anymore. No one's even listening anyway. I've had enough.
You're like, no, come on, trying to get me to unfold my hands. No, I've had enough.
Go on, carry on what you were saying, dude. No more interruptions from my silly laugh.
Right, so what were we talking about? We're talking about inspiration, weren't we? We're talking about new ideas. We're talking about creativity, that new creative thought, that new stream of consciousness. And you were saying it comes when you least expect it. Well, you know, I alluded earlier on to like the magic as well, and the idea of like telepathy, and you know, you can be in sync with someone. And Jordan Peterson says, look at someone if you're anxious, and that'll take away the anxious because you'll see them and you'll see the anxiousness in them. You can see what they're thinking, and that'll take away the anxiousness from you. That to me is a superpower. If you can do that, and I imagine more people can do that, the more experienced you are, the more you can go inward and you can meditate and be in a meditative state, the more you can do that. And so with this, like Eckhart Tolle teaches to watch the mind rather than be caught up in your mind and everything my mind says and the narrative that it runs about people and that's true. Like rather than think that, you can just watch it, and you can sit and you close your eyes. So all of a sudden you shut out the external, that's going on, and you don't have all your central nervous system dealing with the external, and then you can watch your mind, and then you realize patterns, and that's a superpower in itself, because what you can then do is you can then tap into these moments where you can be in the present moment and you can have new streams of consciousness or new creativity and new ideas, and then you can tap into it almost willingly and like only for maybe a second at a time. But I do it when I'm driving a lot of time. When I'm driving, every now and then I'll be like, oh, okay, here we go. Let's get some new ideas on the go. I turn my radio off and then I just drive and I try and focus on what I'm doing, and I kind of enter that. And it does feel a little bit like a daydream, but I don't know. Daydream but it's a new daydream, you know, it's a new stream of thought and consciousness coming through. rather than.
Yeah, so daydreaming can be positive and negative, can't it? Like you can have a good daydream where like you can daydream about things that are prospective, like what do I want to achieve? Where do I want to go? How do I get where I want to go? And then you can start being creative and thinking. But daydreams can quite often be a nervous presence, can't they? Where you think worrying about something happening and then you start focusing on it. What about if this bad thing happens? Do you know what I mean? What will it mean for me? And then it can start really consuming you. And I quite often do that, me. I quite often daydream in a negative way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we have I don't know how true this is, but I heard the other day we have 50,000 thoughts a day. Obviously, it's going to vary between people, but let's say
yeah, Macaulay has 7.
Nah, dude. Yeah, like that's and 40,000 of those are negative apparently, and it's like you definitely like. So we are kind of programmed for negative thinking. I don't know whether that's a survival thing where the mind's like, motherfucker, I got to keep you out of danger, so I'm gonna have you on the edge all the time and ready and waiting. But so that's something probably to work on, and I guess
if you look back at what you just said, Dan was good about. So by us worrying and having negative thoughts, being positive is great for like being driven and doing things, but being negative can help you to be cautious, and that definitely is a survival thing. Like if you look years ago, if you go back to like tribes hundreds, thousands of years ago, like say sort of 10,000 years ago, and in the era of like all when there was massive like saber-toothed tigers and shit, and we was just living in like clans, and do you know what I mean? Like if you go back to them sort of times,
didn't happen.
Yeah, but if you was in the tribe in them kind of times when you was at risk of getting hunted by fucking big ass tigers and shit, if you wasn't cautious and always worried, like it's like going to if you were in the dark and then you see a shape of something. If you're not worried that might be a tiger, then 9 times out of 10 that's not a tiger, but you're always worried that it could be. That helps you to stay cautious. But the person that just looks at it and thinks, oh, that's a rock, that, do you know what I mean? I'm not bothered by that thing. They're the fuckers getting eaten, aren't they? So that gets slowly hunted out the fucking gene pool, doesn't it? So having some negativity and some negative thoughts is important for survival. You have to be careful in some aspects of your life. You know what I mean?
I think a better way to term it is pessimistic. Like you're better off being pessimistic rather than negative. So let's say, for example, you start your business, you start your new tattoo business, okay? You should be optimistic in that if I do the best work of my best ability and I post on Instagram every single day, this will work and this will pay off and consistency will pay off. However, you're also going to think at the beginning it might be slow, and this is the pessimistic way of thinking now. Oh, it might be slow. I might have overheads. I might really eat into a great deal of chunk of my savings. Maybe this will happen, maybe. And then so you're looking, oh, maybe the building will need work. Oh, that roof's looking a bit fucked. So maybe in 6 months from now or a year from now, I'm gonna have to get it replaced. Like, so looking into being like almost, the pessimistic side, as well as, and getting that balance between optimism and, because I see it in my family. My dad and my grampy, they argue because my dad is optimistic in thinking, or he tries to be with business, and my grampy is pessimistic. And then so my dad sees it as, oh, you're just being fucking negative. And then my grampy will see it as, oh, you got your head in the clouds. So I can see it, like I see it happening in I was gonna say first hand.
There's a middle ground there, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
A way of utilizing both properties, isn't there? There's a way of using optimism to help you do things that will go out your comfort zone and try things that might not necessarily work, but you're going to try them anyway. And then the pessimism helps to guard you from the fact that some things will fail, some things will fuck up. Do you know what I mean? You have to have some realistic thoughts in the process. So yeah, you can't, if you're only optimistic and like you only think of everything being perfect and everything working fine, when you do meet these hurdles and you hit these failures, I think it is important to bear the pessimism in mind and have the thoughts that this could go wrong, and when it does, I'm aware of it. But that's where the optimism kicks back in and tells me that's gone wrong. I knew it was coming. I knew it might happen. But now I need the drive of the optimism to say, but here's how it can fix in the future. This is where I can go with it. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think you tap into the two ways of thinking, definitely, and I think they're both beneficial. You get people that are too far in each direction, like you said. If someone's too pessimistic, then a lot of the times they can not be driven and not be bothered doing anything because they just think the world's shit and like everything's shit. The government, man, they're just out to kill us. Do you know what I mean? Them kind of people.
Yeah, they're my favorite people to hang around with.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the sticky bar with those guys. Let's jump on a bus that's full of Velcro, that's covered in Velcro. Let's fucking jump on it and let's whinge the whole way to the sticky bar.
That's what I mean. These pessimistic people they're never visiting our sticky bar. They can't even conceive of the Velcro ride to the sticky bar.
Yeah, because it's shit.
Fucking this Velcro shit. It should have been black and it's red.
So yeah, but I do think it's our duty as well to work on positive, changing our perception. Like you can change it, can't you? Your base, what you go back to, your emotion, and what you go back to, you are in charge of it through discipline and will. And I'm sure, like anyone listening, and you've had this, where you've had moments, if you reflect on your life, where, during that time, I was actually typically quite more positive in my way of thinking than I was in this one. And it only takes, and it's momentum, isn't it? It only takes one thing to kind of get you into that negative. And then all of a sudden, 6 months, you've been a poopy pants, you've been negative. And so it is our duty, I feel, and probably more than often, you have to worry more, or not worry, I should say, I'll reframe that more positively. You should, talking a positive like talk, let's reframe it so it's not negative. But rather than say don't worry, I'll say you should focus on becoming more positive in thinking and optimistic in thinking, because more people need that than need the pessimistic way of thinking.
Yeah, defo. And what I think's cool about like what we're saying there, it's about balance, isn't it? And even when I was doing
toast is done. Like you at the beginning of the podcast, you put bread in it, and you're like still waiting for the toast.
Yeah,
be like an hour and 30.
Yeah, so even the body has balance. The body has homeostasis, doesn't it? And that's the body wanting So, for example, everything in the body has to be balanced. So there's a certain amount of blood there's a certain amount of oxygen in the blood. As soon as that oxygen level gets depleted, more has to be put in. Do you know what I mean? There's a certain amount of, so the body's got all these hormones that they produce. When your heart rate needs to increase, your body releases adrenaline that pushes up your heart rate. When there's too much sugar in the blood, your body releases insulin that stores it as fat. Your body has all these processes to what are you laughing at?
That you put a CH in insulin.
Yeah. So your body's always trying to be balanced, isn't it? Like and that's the same thing that homeostasis is. It's a similar thing to being practical in life. Like if you're totally just optimistic, and people always go on about being positivity and all that. And yeah, if you was totally positive about everything and never had one negative thought, then you would be considered someone that is a bit head in the clouds, or you know what I mean? But then the same time, if you're totally negative and you was just too careful with anything, like, oh, I'm not going here, I'm not getting in this car, I might crash, could die, you know what I mean? Or I'm not leaving the house, I might get coronavirus, or I'm not going here, I might, do you know what I mean? Anything like that, you need some positivity to give you help you do these things. So yeah, I think balance is key. It's about knowing how to use these different processes in terms of the way you think. And because I'm fucking guilty of it, mate. I spend so much time worrying, mate, like every single day. Sometimes I wake up nervous because I'm anxious.
Yeah, but this is what I find interesting is you never used to.
It's a learned behavior for me from being in jail. So the helplessness of being locked up for a couple of years, even though you get on with it, there's a knock-on effect of that. That like, it's probably quite. It's quite. I'm not saying it's PTSD, but when someone gets PTSD from going to war in the army, that trigger doesn't happen to them till later on in life. And I think this. So similar for me with going to jail. While I was in there, I was fine. I was just getting on with it. I was being positive. I thought, right, I'm locked up in here. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to train. And do you know what I mean? So the effects of that haven't took hold until afterwards. And now sometimes it just gives me, I just have a thought process where I think that something bad's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? And I start thinking that something's going to fuck everything up. And do you know what I mean? So it's getting inside your own head, and I it's something I massively struggle with. So I understand how to be positive when it comes to business strategy, when it comes to trying things that might probably won't work. I'm really positive with stuff like that. But then in terms of my own mind, I can be really negative into thinking about like, what if this bad thing happens, or what, do you know what I mean? And I can sometimes devote a lot of my spare time to just thinking negative shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I do. I'm learning about it at the moment. So I'm learning about emotion, and I'm learning, and what I've learned it from because I'm reading about it, and I'm also implementing it into my meditation and into my, just being as observative of my mind and my emotion, my feelings. And what I've noticed for me, and this is being vulnerable and being open now, is in the past I have fucked up. If you were to catch me at an 18-year-old, you'd see someone that was like carefree, just like a free spirit. And then things that had happened since then had then programmed certain emotions in me to feel. And one of the feelings I do feel, and it comes up quite a lot, is a feeling of guilt. I think I'm harboring guilty feelings from where I've done events in the past where I end up feeling like super guilty, and then that becomes a thing.
Yeah.
Also, the feeling of no, I think guilt, just feeling guilt, and I notice it, and it's interesting because I can say and do things in my life where something may happen, and then all of a sudden I feel guilty when I shouldn't feel guilty because I'm completely innocent. But I recognize that my body's holding on to it, and that's what happens is and until you learn it, until you see it, and like I'm really just sprouting out kind of what I've recently read upon it and learned from it. However,
Yeah.
I've experienced a little bit myself through the meditation. Until you recognize it and you recognize where it comes from, then you can let it go, and then you can kind of reprogram it, and then you can what I was saying about your baseline, then your baseline can be, okay, I'm going to have all these thoughts and I'm going to have all these feelings, insecurities, anger, sadness, happiness, joy, pleasure. However, my baseline will be positive and my perception on life will be positive, or it could be fearful. However, you can change that baseline through meditation, through watching your mind, watching your feelings. How does your body feel? Because there's that connection between your body and your mind, where if your mind is telling you you're fearful, then obviously what you said about the adrenaline and all the and your your blood being pumped to your legs so you can get the fuck out of there, so you can yeet out of there.
Yeah.
So your body's going to then go off your mind, and your mind's going to go off your body, and it's going to be that loop that goes on. And you need to change that loop, and how you change that loop is, from what I can gather and guess, is is just being aware of how you feel in the moment, being aware of how you're thinking in the moment, observing it, sitting down and watching your mind. So I heard something interesting a while back. This was years ago, and ever since I was like, yeah, that's cool. And it said about if you want to get to know someone, you sit down, don't you, and you talk to them.
Yeah. And
so we should all do the. And so why the fuck aren't we doing that of our mind? If we want to know our mind, why aren't we sitting down and observing with it and talking to it? Yeah. And and that was like the whole meditation thing. And that was a few years back that I heard that, and I like that. It resonated with me. I was like, yeah, and it's simple as well.
Yeah.
Just if you want to get to know your mind, sit down and.
Dude, we're in a good flow here. So can we have a little pause for a sec? I'm gonna make a brew here.
Yeah, I'll make a brew.
We're in. I always get nervous when you pause it. I always get nervous that it's going to stop and then start again and be two separate entities. But hopefully,
as long as you pause it and don't stop it.
Oh my god, dude!
What?
So you know when you make a coffee?
I do.
Yes, I
yeah.
Go on. Yeah, so when you make a coffee, you obviously you put in milk in, aren't you? And that cools the heat of the boiling water of it. And because I've just used one of them sachets of like latte sachets, and it's got milk powder and stuff in, so you pour that directly into boiling water. And I just sat down then and had a gulp of it, and it went to the back of my throat, and it was literally swallowed kettle water, but like a frothy gulp of kettle water.
Ouch. Dude, that's hotter than the sun.
That's hotter than our podcast right now.
Yeah, and it's a difficult feat to get, is to be hotter than what's going on right now.
Yeah, hotter than the moment.
Love you. Casual Journey podcast. Panties and stuff being flicked at us.
Like it's that hot when you're on the podcast. It's that hot with your 12 YouTube views. Like you do the podcast and then straight after it, you go and get your personal best deadlift. Like you go and lift like an extra 30 kilos to the max lift you've ever done because you're so pumped up on your fucking like your ego and stuff. You think, you know, I've put this video on YouTube and I've 12 views in 6 months.
and then the next podcast we do, I'm in a tent and it's windy and you're like, 40, where are you? And I'm like, well, Paul, you know, we got the 12 views last week. Yeah. Well, I'm in base camp number 3. I'm climbing Everest. What?
Yeah.
No, get out of there. I've got this, Paul. And then like the next week I'm in base camp 1. I'm just moving up Everest every time.
Yeah, like you're
we got 16 views last week, Paul. I'm gonna make it.
You're celebrating getting two figures, reaching double figures in views. So you was on like 7 and then it went to 10. So you're in double figures. You like doing a big, you know, like when someone's on Instagram and they do like a big like thank you when they get 100,000 followers, 100k followers, the big giveaway. Like you do a giveaway where you like go and give £20 to a tramp or something.
Dude, can we do that?
What?
Let's do that. Let's fucking right. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna figure it out now. Let's do it now. I'm gonna record it as well. I'm gonna write it down. So here's what we do, right? For the podcast, I'm gonna call it. Well, we can change the name, but for now we're gonna call it Podcast Everest or Success or Podcast Party.
Podcast.
And what we do is every time we hit a certain amount of like viewers or listeners or whatever, we'll go off durations, how long they listen for, and we'll set goals, we'll set milestones. This is important, dude. And I think like one of the things we'll have to do is we'll have champagne on one of the podcasts. So that's one idea.
Are you going to actually say we will go out and give £20 to a tramp?
I'll do that. Yeah, I'll give £20. And I'll say to him as well, I'll say, oh, here you go, mate. My podcast has now got 30 views per month, and I'll give them £20. Give £20 to a bum. How you word it as well.
Yeah.
Give £20 to a bum. And I'll say that to him. Here, oh, one of the goals is when we get 20 listeners, we give £20 to a bum. Now, what can it be?
20,
though?
£20 to a low life, like yourself, as you're passing it to him.
Constant insult after insult. You don't mind that I'm recording this, do you?
Yeah, I've got to give £20 to the worst possible human I can find. I just said something really degrading. But like you're giving them money, so they feel good about the money, but they feel really bad about what you've said. So it's it's like give and take.
So I'm like this. I'm like, oh, can I? Oh, you don't mind? Here you go. Here's
like
£20.
An apologetic rapist, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Dude, it's or I go to him. I'm like, oh, my podcast has now got 100 listeners on. Every month we get 100 listeners. So so here's £20. He's like, oh, that's great. And you're like, yeah, no worries. Can I take this photo? And I'm like, here you are. Like, here it is. It's 100. Give £20 to scum. And then I get a photo, and it's just him with the £20 note, and then me just saying like, and then it says £20. Give £20 to a scum, and then a tick, and then we just get the photo, and I'm like really happy. And he's there just pissed off, looking at me, angry.
Brilliant.
All right, dude. So we've got champagne. I think we should have champagne on the podcast, but when? 100 listeners?
No, I think the first 1,000 views on one video.
Really? No, I think we take the piss with it.
Have champagne. Have 80. Champagne at the first time we get more than one subscriber increase in a week.
Okay, that's a good one. So, champagne on the podcast when we receive more than one subscriber a week. Nah, let's hit a milestone, dude.
Yeah, I think the first 1,000 first. What about the first?
Let's make it a random number. What about the first 237 views or something
on one video?
Yeah.
I say each time we do it, we come up with a new one of them as well. Just so if we just spent the next half an hour coming up with this list.
Yeah. All right. This is our first. Yeah. Okay. So this is our first little thing that we can have on. All right. So when we hit 237 views, and I will give money to scum as well, peasants of the earth.
But like you sipping the champagne and you like doing that with a glass and stuff.
Got them big glasses on. Got the big fucking like palm tree glasses and shit.
Yeah.
And it just says 237 on the glasses.
I'm like one of them. You've got no top. You're topless, and you've just got a necklace made out of flowers. Like you're in the fucking what's it, Hawaii or something?
Hawaii, yeah.
And you've just got a nice backdrop of palm trees and stuff, and you're like, we've made it, woo!
And people watching are like, oh yeah, that good for them. Look, they're celebrating their first 237,000 views, and they don't
just 237.
Yeah, that's it. My friend's got over 237 views on his videos that he made there, where he went into the woods and just did nunchucks.
What do you mean?
That just puts into perspective
oh god,
how easy this is.
We can put loads of thought into getting together on this podcast and have a proper in-depth conversation, and we can find it like really, I don't know, we can think that it's got some really good points and stuff, and it might get 20 views, and then I don't know, you can have just the weirdest videos ever get views on YouTube, don't they? Like it's absolutely nuts how The thing that go viral more than anything on YouTube is something short clip that's hilarious, isn't it? Like someone falling or dead random like that. So now we're not up against that shit because we never win. But
some lady in the snow that says it's great condition. I wonder if she's out running in this snow now.
that was fucking brilliant. So when do you think likely would be the chance of Poirier and McGregor having a rematch? Because a lot of the times they drag it out, don't they? They want to build up anticipation, don't they? Like if they just had a rematch, I nearly called it a rematch, a rematch in like a few months. Like it wouldn't generate as much revenue as like a few years apart. You know what I mean? And then there's a big comeback type thing. Like I wonder if McGregor will go silent for a while now, or I wonder if he'll fight again, or
training in the dungeons. I think his attitude that he's always had when he loses a fight is he wants the rematch immediately. He did it with Nate Diaz. He did it with Khabib. I think he'll do it with Poirier. He'll want the rematch. He'll want to make the adjustments. And win. So I think he'll want it immediately. Poirier, not sure. I feel like Poirier's kind of, he's done what he's needed to do. He's the number one.
When and if do you think Khabib will get beat?
I don't know if he'll necessarily come back.
That's what I'm thinking, because if it all the cleverest, most iconic fighters retire at the right age, don't they? Undefeated and never come back to it.
George St. Pierre being one of them.
Yeah, Joe Calzaghe, the Welsh boxer, he did it as well. There's been loads, there's been a handful that have done it, but it's about knowing when to bow out. When you're on top, it's about knowing that maybe your time is up in that particular thing. Why not go off into something else? You know what I mean?
Can we pause it there again a sec, bro?
Yeah.
Cool. So the reason why I got the curtains closed is because I'm parked at the gym, and I find it embarrassing that, I'll be honest with you, I find it embarrassing that I'm in the van and I like stay at Lottie's house in Bath, and then when I do the pod, I'm like, right, I need to drive somewhere, and I always think like, oh, I'll try and drive somewhere beautiful and scenic and stuff, like somewhere in nature, but it's a better idea to go to the gym because I'm in the delivery area around the back. There's fuck all people around. I won't get disturbed. I can be as loud as I want, and I got space, you know. So whereas normally if I drive to like places in the wilderness, there'll be people like you say out there. They'll be like, what the fuck's you doing in there? I'm like laughing, joking, talking about fucking, hearing you talk about like some sort of like rape joke, and like I'm in a van, you know. So it's like I want to.
Dude, you know what? I pressed record again when you shut your van door, so all it would have jumped back in is you explaining why the curtains were open, and they wouldn't have seen the previous conversation of me telling you to open the curtains.
What? Oh yeah, so it would have been like us saying, let's take a break, and then it being curtains open.
Yeah, that's like a random jump back in. We paused it for a second, by the way. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think as well, you made that mistake, haven't you, of trying to park somewhere out the way and having bad signal. Like you are better off just being somewhere where, because that was tough, that one. The amount of time you'd be saying like a point I'm trying to listen to, and it'd be proper, and then your head would just jump. There was that moment though that you did that thing. Do you remember?
What?
Like you moved in a mad way and just appeared.
No, I didn't see that. But my favorite one was the one where you went like this. You went, oh yeah, dude, yeah. And you went like this with your hand, and you put your hand up there, and it went like quiet, and then your hand stayed there, and then I was like this, and because I didn't hear anything, I kind of was like, went like that, then put it down, and as I put it down, you went, do you know what I mean? And I was like, just this the whole time, and me just going on my coffee.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so it is that, dude. It is that. It's like, it's just easier. It's like, I mean, it's familiarity, but it is also like just it being easy. What's the word now? Convenient or not convenient? It is convenient, but yeah, I know I've got signal here. I know I won't be disturbed.
You get peace of mind, don't you?
Pardon?
You're getting peace of mind being there.
Yeah, I can relax and be as loud as I want.
Yeah, no.
Whereas, dude, I sent you the video of where I was yesterday, didn't I? Beautiful little spot.
Yeah. It was a show. I was showing it to someone that I was with, actually. I was explaining to someone that I'd do this podcast with you, and you sent me that video, and I showed him, and I said, look, my mate lives in a camper van, like for half the time, and then stays with his girlfriend. And I said, look at what he does. He like just parks up in the middle of nowhere and wakes up to views like that. And we had a little conversation about the fact that doing that takes balls. Because I said to him, I think it takes balls to do that, and he said, yeah, I agree. He said, but we both said like the benefit, it's rewarding as well. Do you know what I mean? Like the fact that you have the freedom to do that, but at the same time, your initial purpose for moving into your van was you was paying for an apartment and you was rarely ever there. So it was a massive expense saved, wasn't it? And the fact that you could live somewhere, save up some money and work towards getting a house. So your reasons for it are beneficial to your life. Do you know what I mean? But we both did say the same thing, that like, I don't know, like for me, I've said for you, it's normal, you sleep in your van. But if I suddenly moved into a van now and I was parked in a car park somewhere or whatever, I'd be trying to go sleep thinking, what if some fucker's trying to rob my van in the middle of the night? Do you know what I mean? I'll try to break in and I'm just asleep in it. Have you ever had that thought?
Yeah, dude. And I went to so I went to this place that I bought some security glass. It's like sticker, and you stick it on the glass on the window so that if someone tries to break in, they can't. So you try and smash it, and it's basically just very, very, very difficult to break into. And
is it where when the glass smashes, it stays intact?
Yeah, and it's a motherfucker to get into. And I took it to a garage, a place that fits it, and asked them to fit it. It was quite expensive as well, and they said to me, the first thing he said, and I thought this was kind of a bit bonkers, and the only reason why he said it is because he hasn't experienced it, I think. But he said, "Oh, why would you want to do that? Wouldn't you just want to park it somewhere where you don't think that someone's going to break in?" And like my answer was, "Yes, but anywhere you go, you might. Yeah, that's an option, isn't it? It's always an option. It's like saying like." You know, if you say, "Oh, I want a lock on my front door at my home," they'll be like, "Well, why don't you buy a house where you don't need one?" You're like, "Nah, I'm still gonna have a lock on my front door."
Yeah. Why don't you just not lock the door but live somewhere with no thieves?
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you need a lock? People don't steal around there. That's Dubai, man. My mate lives.
Yeah.
That's Dubai, mate. My close mate that we spoke about lives out there. He was saying.
Shout out to Bidge.
Shout out to Bidge. I can't think if he was saying this happened to him or he knows of it happening, but I'm sure he was saying that he parked up one day and went the whole day at work. And he was, have you ever got out your car and you've got things in your hand, like your wallet and your phone, and you put it on the hood of the car while you like zip up your jacket, or do you know what I mean? Or while you shut the door, so you put it on the roof. Well, what he's done, he said he climbed out of his car and he put his wallet on his roof, and he's gone off, and this car's just in public somewhere, and he's gone off to work for the whole day. And he said when he come back, it was just still on the roof, the wallet. Like, it's that they've got crime that over there, that under wraps, that because the punishments are that severe. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't
choppy. Yeah, you get your hands chopped off, don't you?
I don't know if they do that in Dubai, but
no. Is it Turkey? It's Turkey they do it, I think. I don't know. That might be wrong.
I don't know. Is that to say there's just loads of people walking around with no hands?
Only thieves.
Like, what did they do afterwards? Do you know what I mean? Because like sometimes stealing's out of complete desperation, isn't it? Like stealing food or
Yeah.
I don't agree with stealing in any way, but if you were put in them situations where you can't even eat or anything, like I don't know, like when you're that desperate, who knows what you'd have to do? Do you know what I mean? Especially if you've got a starving family, like a young
And
kid that's not eating days.
yeah, and especially if you, because I guess this is a weird like moral thing now, like, but if you were to steal from £1 billion, if you were to steal from Tesco food, that isn't as bad morally as stealing from someone that, you know, is going into someone's house and stealing their food.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like Tesco aren't going to feel that as much as personal, like as like an individual, you know.
Yeah, but obviously no one should be stealing, but it's on the basis of do you know what I mean? Like sometimes circumstances make people do things that they don't have feel like they have a choice over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, with the sleeping in the van thing that we are talking about as well earlier, is like I think I said to you, I do try and make the effort of parking my rear doors up against a wall or something, you know, or a hedge or something, so it limits the way you can get in. And then also, I think I do have don't get me wrong, I got that balance between like a pessimistic and positive. So I'm like, I think the reality of it is if people see a camper van, they're not going to break into it. Because I think if you're a thief or what have you, I think you're an opportunist, aren't you? So you're not going to, oh, I'm going to break into that car where I can see that no one's in there, rather than, oh, I'm going to break into this camper van where it's in the middle of nowhere where there probably is someone sleeping in it. So
that
I
person
think
could be a complete psychopath.
oh yeah, well no, dude, I'm under no illusion. If someone breaks into my van, I'm asleep at night. It's kill or be killed. Like that's my mentality into it. It's
You'd probably be that. You'd probably be that panicked. You'd have to attack, wouldn't you? If someone was coming to you,
100%, dude. And I would as well. I would like I wouldn't. You know, I think if somebody's breaking into a camper van, they're they got to be a bit aware of the circumstances or the yeah, because I think it does it's not going to take a rational person to break into my van, is it? I'm not going to be like, oh, if someone breaks into my van, maybe I can just talk and have a little podcast.
No reward. It's not like it's a massively rewarding place to break in either. It's just a van, you know what I mean? It's not like
cool, isn't it?
Hiding gold bars under your bed or something. You're sitting on a load of fucking, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe I can do that. Maybe
crown jewels under your bed.
They break in and I can be like, I can turn the lights on and say, yeah, take what you want, mate. What do you want? I've got a few saucepans up here. I've got some. Let's see what food. I don't do food. They break in on Saturday, and I'm like, I do my food shops on a Monday, so I'm a bit out of food really. So you come at the wrong time.
I've got a couple of tins of beans you could have.
Yeah, ER tuna. That's in date. That stays in date for a while. You can keep all of that. Yeah, like what do you want? It's not. This is like you said. It's not rewarding at all, is it? It's really not.
You can keep hold of that tuna.
Like you've got like a chicken Kiev dinner from the night before, and on a plate with cling film over it, kind of like trying to sort through, and they're holding you at gunpoint. You're like, honestly, mate, I swear to God, here's my wallet. I've got Why do you think I'm living in a van? Like, all my money is in my bank. Give me a card with your bank account details.
You can have this chicken Kiev dinner. I was breaking and like, what have you got for me? You just hold the plate up.
Got this. Got my fucking swinging fruit net.
That was brilliant. I've got like a chicken Kiev dinner on the counter. That probably made me laugh. I don't know
why. Very specific, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess what my dad wanted me to do, or he gave me, it was an idea he had. What are you laughing at, dude?
You're laughing at that. I've got like a chicken Kiev dinner on this.
Hey, they're my favorite moments, you know, where you laugh and you can't stop laughing, and it's even better when you're not supposed to. Like I did it the other day. I was watching a film, I was watching a program, and there was a drum, like just, you know, like a single drum that you might have here and rap, and then you bong, bong, like a single drum. And we're watching this program, and this car, there was a drum, and the car kind of like hit the drum and like ran it over a little bit, and it made it like go bong, and it made it go bong, and it was kind of funny, but it just set, I don't know where it come from, dude, but it sets up something off in me, and I'm giggling away, dude, and I start like, I'm crying, and then like, and in the end, like, yeah, and my girlfriend was like, and she was like, all right, okay, and she was trying to like stop me from laughing, and that set me off even more, because she was like, yeah, okay, it's done now, stop, like it's getting annoying. And because she was doing that, I was like, and then it would like, I'd see it again, and then it would set me off. And dude, for about 5 minutes, I was like, I was gone. And she made it funnier for me by the fact that she was like, okay, it wasn't that funny. Like the fact that she was putting some pressure on me to not laugh just set me off even more. I was gonna say, before, yeah, my dad, because you know I want to invest in property.
Yeah.
My dad seen a house that was up for 1,150,000, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you want to buy this house with me?" And he was like, "But the thing is, it's just like, I don't know. I guess it's just like the levels in it, and I don't know whether he doesn't ever talk to me. It's quite sad. Doesn't really ask me. No interest in me whatsoever. Zero interest in me. But I'm working through that shit. But like, I was like, yeah, I don't know if you know what my dreams and my ideas are, but that's not it. Because he's like, don't get me wrong, dude, this house was balling, dude. It was a mansion. It had basically another house next to it.
What was the reasoning? What was he gonna buy it together and then live in it together or something?
Yeah, so he wanted to buy it because it had a field as well. It had like, the drive was a big drive. It was called like the Arches or something like that. Had like this island with a tree, and you could go round it, and then like in the garden it had fucking Colosseum thing. Like it was fucking huge. And yeah, so his idea was, you know, he'd put an offer for $1 million. He'd put 500,000. I'd put 250, and my stepbro would put 250, and we'd get like, because the mansion itself, it was like he'd have maybe the ground level, and I'd have the upper, and then my brother would have the outhouse or what have you. But it wouldn't work, because it would be like, if we'd have paid equal, one of us would be getting better than the other one, so it wouldn't necessarily work. Plus, so I like, it could have been a good, and it was just, he just said it was just an idea, so it was just an idea at the end of the day. But I said to him, like, the reason I wouldn't want to, and I'd love the idea of fucking being in that house, that'd be balling. But the trouble is with it is, like, I'm still then doing the thing that I'm trying to avoid. The thing that I'm trying to avoid is, I don't want to move into a house and get a mortgage where I'm like, okay, this is where you are now, and technically now you're in debt. What I want is, no, I'll buy a flat that I rent out, then I'll buy another flat that I rent out, then I'll move into a house that I'm renting, so I just got to pay whatever the rent is per month. And if I want to fuck off, I can go elsewhere if I get bored after a year. And I like that. And I see it in everyone. I see it in people that move into a house and they enjoy the fuck out of it, doing it up. Once it's done, they get bored, they move away again. And so it's like, well, if we're going to be like that, then just rent the place where you're at. And then obviously the houses that you want to buy them and rent them out, so you have passive income. So it wasn't aligned with my goals. But dude, it did tempt me, man. The idea of, like, imagine that, just like, I don't know, having a few friends round. Or
what would your dad have done? Would your dad have sold his house, and then you all get separate mortgages to cover the money or something?
You cut out there, mate. What do you say?
Was your dad going to sell his house, and then was you all going to apply for separate mortgages to cover the amount?
I don't know, but he's got three properties. So I think what he might have done is sold all three, maybe sold one or two. I don't know what his plans were, but yeah. And also, I don't know as well. I feel like the thing, although we would be separated, I don't know, man. I think it's a cute idea, because it was out in the sticks as well. It was in the wilderness, and it was really close to his house, his work, so it worked for him. But in terms of like me, it was fucking a good 40-minute drive from where I worked. So it didn't fit. It was a nice idea. It was a kind of, at best a cute idea if you actually wanted to have us around, but I doubt that was the thing behind it. I think more than likely the thing behind it was he wanted a big house and he needed someone to chip in with him, kind of thing.
Yeah, but the only issue with that is what happens when you want to move out and you want your investment out the house back. You know what I mean? Like you think,
yeah.
so it eventually come to a point where you wanting to move out, but you want to sell to get your chunk of the money back, and your dad's like, "Well, no, I want to live." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get
Oh yeah, it's yeah. You can't go into business with like that, can you? I don't feel, with your family and your.
I really like what you just said about the fact that people feel the need to always get a mortgage and live there, but why not get a mortgage and then rent it out and then go and rent somewhere else? That's a really good way of thinking, because that gives you the freedom of moving around, doesn't it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's like holidays, isn't it? If you're going to go on holiday, you're going to go somewhere new. You're not going to keep going to the same spot, because the idea is experience, and it's no different here. And also, it's dead money, dude. If you're, let's say you're like, oh, I'm in this house now. For example, I got a client of mine, really good friend. He's in his house, and he's, you know, he likes talking about, we talk about money a lot. And for me, he's in this paid house where he's paid it all, mortgage free. But I'm like, dude, that's you're thinking of ways to try and get more money right in front of you. Sell, remortgage your house, get 500 grand from it, buy 500 grand's worth of flats where you put fucking 25% down, and you can be on like an insane amount of money. He'd be on about 7 grand a month just from passive income from having the people in the flats. Let's say you buy 10 flats with your money, cheap flats, buy cheap, rent high. Not an asshole move. It's just you find an area that's quite cheap to buy, and you look at the rent, and the rent's a little bit higher, and that's how to do it. And that's why I'm here now in the camper van. So that's my vision. My vision is not like buy this beautiful house that everyone thinks, oh my god, this is amazing, but in reality I'm not free, because I'm like, no, I have to work right now, because if I don't work, I'm not paying this and I'm in debt. I don't want that underneath me. I want to set up. I said this to my friend the other day. I want to be in a luxurious place, but I choose my suffering. So I'm a strong believer in discomfort, but I want to go into my discomfort through choice. For example, I want to have those cold showers in the morning or the afternoon or whenever I have them, but I want to have them in like this big open space where it's like, where you have a big shower head, or you've got a big bath and a glass wall where you can see out into the country. And I choose then to get into the cold bath, or rather than be like out in the cold.
Yeah, so it's having the option of both, and it's having the choice between doing it nice and comfortable, but sometimes you can go out your comfort zone and do that. But no, I have a similar thing, dude. If I come to the point of buying a property, I think I'm more likely to buy a property and turn it into a tattoo shop than I am to get a mortgage on a house. Because if I got a mortgage on a house and rented it out, say I'm getting 800 quid a month for it, or whatever I'm getting a month, to me that's less than the prospect of turning it into a tattoo shop. Because if you turn it into a shop, then I've got the ability to go down different avenues with it, and like think, and then I get more creative. I can train people up, and you know what I mean. Like it's more of a baby, and it's like your baby in at your shop, because there's a lot of different things that you're doing with it, and you're always needing to invest your time and for it to grow. And I suppose you can buy a house and do it up, and then see it become more valuable. So in a way, that's the same thing. But no, if I come to buying a property, it's most likely to become my next tattoo shop.
And I think that's the way. Well, not. I think that's a great way of looking at it. Make your money sweat. I do one thing. One thing though is I do one. So I will want to buy a property at one stage, but not yet, not anytime soon. Like not anytime soon. And I think
there's no rush, is there?
No, I think the reason for it is because I don't want to fall into the trap of renting a place and being like, I don't want to be, because a lot of people are in the mind space when they rent somewhere, because it's not theirs, they're not going to take care of it. I don't think that's me anyway. I don't think that's in my nature.
It's
However,
still your home. Why not make it as good as you can? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. However, that's why I will buy a property in the future, is because I'm open to the idea of buy a property that's a shit tit and live in it and do it up and, you know, add value to the property, then refinance it, and then all of a sudden you've got a fuckload of money. Now all of a sudden you're like, hey, you've got a load of money and you've got your house and you can pay just interest only, so you're not paying a load of mortgage outgoings. Dude, do you ever make like future plans, 10-year plans, 5-year plans, 1-year plan? Do you do anything like that?
Yeah, but mine's usually on the 1 year scale. So I did it with my tattoo shop. I said next year I'll have a shop, and I just religiously stuck to it. In terms of like 5-year plans and 10-year plans, I think they are good, but I just for me, no, I don't tend to think that far ahead. I tend to take baby steps, me. So I decide on a goal and I stick with that till I've got it, and then I see how that goal can be furthered. So I stay on one path, but moving forward in increments, sort of thing. So like thinking, so my goals are more short term. I plan for sort of what I want this year, but no, fact like people, some of the most successful people have long term plans, don't they? They break down what they want to do over a decade, or do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It can also be quite daunting and quite like anxious filled, can't it? If you look too much, if you spend too much time in the future, I think that's when it can fuck with you then. So it is important to like look a little bit in the future, but also enjoy the moment now.
Yeah, of course, I agree with that. What's also worth bearing in mind as well is like setting goals, not just for like benefiting with business and stuff. You can set goals in terms of like stuff with, like, it might be a place you've always wanted to visit, or do you know what I mean? Something that's going to improve your experiences, you know what I mean? So like, I don't know if you've always wanted to go to a certain holiday place, or you've always wanted to try and do a certain thing. Say you wanted to do a skydive, or do you know what I mean? Like that in itself's a goal, isn't it? Especially if it's something you're scared of and you think, right, I'm gonna do this at some point just to test myself. Do you know what I mean?
I wonder if that's why these times are so difficult, is because a part of it is you can't experience new things. You experience the same every day, and that's enough to drive people crazy.
Dude,
You haven't got new experience.
This lockdown at the minute is very similar to jail. It's the same things every day. You can't. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. All you can do is go on walks, and obviously it's on a grander scale. You've got a bigger prison, so to speak, but it's still like there's still conditions, isn't there, and rules. So it is it is very similar in a way. It's not you've still got the choice, but the fact that you've not got a variety of options makes it feel like prison, if that makes sense. Because life can be quite random. Like you have your routine, like, right, so Monday to Friday, I go to the gym before work. I like to eat this in the morning. You have your set routines, but then Friday night might be random. One week you might go cinema, then you go for a walk, then you go on a big night out. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, or you might go a pub in the midweek with different people, or do you know what I mean? So that
everything you mentioned then was drinking.
Yeah.
Just such variety. You might go shots, you might go to the pub with the boys on a Wednesday, and then come the weekend, it's cocktails with the girls, and then who knows what could go on. On a Monday you could have shots with the girls and like
vodka on a Monday, Tuesday spiced rum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just naming different booze.
Yeah, and I'm like, the next question I ask is, are you okay, Paul?
Yeah, brilliant.
Really? Are you okay? Yeah.
But are you okay? I think that's a good place to leave it, dude.
Ain't that strange? Nah, I'm continuing. Ain't that strange where people can also put shit in your mind, can't they? Where they can say, "Oh, are you okay?" And then you're like, "Yeah," and then you're like,
Actually,
and they're like,
am I okay?
Are you okay? And you're like, "Oh God, yeah." And they can condition you. They can project their shit on you, can't they? Yeah, you want to leave it there?
Yeah, I think that was good.
So yeah, I enjoyed that thoroughly. So what we need to do? Have you stopped recording? Don't stop. Wait there. So what we need to do then is we need to get 273 views, and we need to drink champagne on the next pod. Well, not the next one, but the one where we get 237 views. We'll figure out, and we'll just do that every time. I enjoy that. That's
milestones.
What we can do as well is if anyone does actually listen to this, chuck some ideas in the comments below. Who knows? What
I might do is I might pay someone that I know to chuck a comment in. Like that. Smithy, if I give you 20 quid, just write this comment in there. Like, fucking hell. We're getting so much traffic on our videos. You can't keep these comments coming.
Yeah, like we end up like 10 years from now, we're in a really bad place, and it's the podcast is still going, but we're heavily in debt and stuff, where we've just invested so much money and
into
time
people writing comments. It becomes an addiction, like a form of gambling. We're just paying all our spare money, whatever we earn in a week. We even eating really shit food, like eating cold tins of beans and like pot noodles, just so every spare scrap can go into making it like we get loads of comments.
As our comment section becomes more abundant, our cheeks just become more gaunt and our face just becomes slimmer. So as we expand in our podcast, we end up contracting and just being real thin.
But we still wear the same clothes because we can't afford new clothes, and we just look really thin, like dead thin neck. Dude, you need to buy one of these hoodies. It's the comfiest hoodie I've got, and I think it was quite cheap, to be honest. It's so comfy.
Nah, dude, you need to buy one of my hoodies because I've got my own hoodie brand, don't I? So you need to buy one of my hoodies.
I will do, dude.
It's a fleece. I got one that's a hoodie that's got Tactical Evolution on it, which is like my thing, one of my things. Which, like, the idea behind it is like I'm not saying evolution is no, I think the big man, I think he's got it right, and I don't think that my evolution is more intelligent than his. I think he's got it pretty spot on, but the whole idea is like kind of working your mind and body as one to become better, not just in the physical thing, but the mental as well. And so yes, I've got a hoodie and a fleece.
Growing through the form of training.
What if and like mindset, and what if the only hoodie that I sell is to you?
Like it. Right, I'm pausing it, dude. Stopping.